Okay, we're live, and we are at Sarni's Roastery, not far from Nana Plaza, not far from, Nana Plaza. It's within walking distance. Bit of a walk, but not too far. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Soy Dog Cowboy. I really have struggled with what happened last night because it's just something that you don't expect to happen in Thailand. In the United States, I expect it. And actually, the United States per capita is not the mass shooting leader in the world, if you want to call it that. But that's neither here nor there. In Thailand, if you go to the page on Wikipedia that states the countries and how many mass shootings there have been, you just type in mass shootings in countries. Thailand doesn't even have a link to its mass shootings. And they're really, in all the time that I've been here, I can remember two, and one that I talked about in 2020 was the soldier back up in Korat, and then yesterday. Unfortunately, yesterday was just pure madness, and I don't mean it in a good way. If you don't know what happened, an ex-policeman, a disgraced policeman, went on a killing spree yesterday, and he started in a daycare center. The number of people that he killed is between 36 and 38 so far. It's unclear if two of the people passed away from the wounded, and 24 of those killed were preschool children. And if that doesn't make you think, and you know what's funny, or what's ironic, I guess, not funny. There's nothing humorous at all about this. I'm not in a happy mood. I see people standing around here in this place. They're laughing and joking, and I guess, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to not let it get to you. But I always think of my own kids. Maybe that's just something that's helped mature me here, if you can call me somewhat mature. Because when I get into a conversation with someone, especially a young person, I think of my kids. And I think, would I be so apt to jump on my kids? Maybe, but probably not. And I think of my kids when they were in preschool, how happy they were, how happy all the kids were to be there. They're just starting their lives. They're just having fun. Hey, Carlos, how you doing? And then yesterday morning, I was watching some interview between, I can't remember who it was, but Piers Morgan was the interviewer. And he was talking about, they were talking about a clip from Rocky Balboa. Now, I never saw the movie. I didn't watch it. After about Rocky 3, I stopped watching them, but he's got a little passage that says, let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are. It will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. Man, if this is not an example of the world nation, they'd rather not think about it because it's such a painful thought. And I don't get too affected too easily. I mean, life is what it is, and you're up, you're down. But when it comes to little innocent kids, I mean, you're talking about 3, 4, 5 years old. They were sleeping. and they were basically butchered. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. It's the worst thing that I think I've ever. I mean, listen, I've gone through 9/11. I've gone through various places where people were laying in their own shit. People were beat up. Old people were beat up. Yeah, like in Hong Kong, things were not very good in some places. I've seen some mass shootings in the United States. And even the one in 2020, that was not directed at children. And on the way over here, I took a taxi. Let me show you something here. I'm trying to have a little joy in my life today. That is the most decadent drink that you can ever have. I'm on the way over here, and there's a guy there, and he's very well dressed and older. It turned out he was a little bit younger than me, but he's an older guy, gray-haired guy, driving a taxi. Now, I don't know what it was, but I could tell that there was something different about him. We start talking, I'm speaking in Thai, and he's like, listen, we can speak in English if you want. I said, oh, okay. We start talking about this, what happened. And it turns out that, one of the things he said to me was, I hate the police. Well, guess what? He turned out to be an ex-police officer. He had retired a short while ago. And he was telling me about how things work and did I know this, did I know that? And it was a very interesting, enlightening conversation. He was a nice guy. He knew some people in boxing that I know. He asked me, do you know this guy? I said, yeah, I know him quite well. Oh, well, he's my friend. I said, well, tell him I said hello. And I don't want to say this guy's name, the one who committed these atrocities. I don't want to say anything about his name, I won't put a photo of him up or anything like that, just because why would you give this person any... It's bad enough we talk about him, and we talk about him because of what happened and how we could prevent this in the future, which is a difficult conversation. And I don't think he should gain any notoriety from this. But let me tell you, give you the breakdown of how this happened, where it happened. Now, if you know Udon Thani up in Isan, you'll have an idea where this is. And I used to live close by where this took place. If you go to Udon Thani City and you head west about an hour, that is Nong Bua Lamphu. And Nong Bua Lamphu it's about 10 minutes. The city center, what they consider the city center, is about 10 minutes from this child development center. I lived halfway in between Udon Thani and Nong Bua Lamphu. And I've been there. I've been to Ban Chiang, I've been all around that region many years ago. So I remember this place. So that's where it is. And the name of the place is Nong Bua Lamphu Child Development Center, or Sun Patana Dek Lek Tamun Uthai Sawan. That's the name in Thai. So at about 12:40 p.m., this guy came to the school and started looking around for his son. However, his son was home with his mother. Now, I'm not sure if this guy had not come there for the last month, or the kid had been out of school for the last month, but the kid was not in school yesterday. When this guy couldn't find his son, he shot several of the staff, 4 or 5, from what I've read. He then stabbed an 8-month pregnant woman. Now, I don't know how that all transpired, but I can't even imagine that. 8-month pregnant woman, you know, she's probably glowing. She's just so happy she's getting to the end. She wants to give birth. You know, who knows if it's her first child or second child or what, it doesn't really matter. But it's the only way I can say it is it's an atrocity. It really is an atrocity. Anyway, so then he goes to this room where the kids were, and by this time, I guess there was one teacher in the room with 24 children. And the teacher had heard what was going on, so they locked the door. And basically cowered, but they did think, oh, well, hopefully he's not going to do anything to us because these are children. The guy tried to get in, couldn't get in, worked his way over to the kitchen where he shot a couple of people. And then he came back, and this time, I guess there's a glass, like, window next to the door, and he smashed the window, reached through, and unlocked the door and went in and began killing these kids, innocent little babies, basically, with a meat cleaver. And the woman was trying to protect them, the teacher, and she died. They showed her husband on Thai TV. You know, he was devastated. He was trying to talk. He could barely talk. It's really, really horrible, you know. He really just he killed generations of their families. Just obliterated them. That's the only way I can say it. So after he was done there, he drove off on his pickup truck, had a bit of an accident. He was trying to ram people. Anybody he could, he's trying to ram with the car to kill them. He's shooting at people, and apparently he killed several people after he took off. Now, you know, I said something about the soldier who went on a rampage in Nakhon Ratchasima, Korat. He killed 27 people and wounded 57. You know, pregnant woman. If you don't know, and I wasn't aware of just how many there were, Thailand has approximately 10 million guns. Of them, 60% are legal and 40% are illegal. And there are calls coming out from government officials to revise the laws, make it more difficult so that this never happens again. I don't know that that's the answer. I have my doubts about that because people will, if they want to find a gun bad enough, they will find it. Believe me, I know many years ago there was a time when I thought I'm going to get one because there was something happening and I thought, you know, it was for my family. This is 10 years ago. And, you know, it's easy to get them, especially in the South. Very easy to get them. I didn't, which was a good move on my part. But, you know, what really bothers me about this, besides the fact of, you know, his actions, what really bothers me is this was preventable. This was completely preventable. And, you know, so, yeah, you know, I'm hurt for the kids and all that. I do feel the, you know, some of the pain. Here comes another pregnant woman. Really. I think of, I see, she's not coming in, but it's just sad when I see that. It immediately makes me think of this poor woman, you know. Anyway. This was preventable, and that's why I'm slightly pissed off. because this didn't have to happen. So this guy was involved in all kinds of stuff. First of all, he admitted he had been using drugs since he was in high school. He's been using yaba since he was in high school. So if he's using yaba since he was in high school, and it was a problem, it was an addiction, didn't the police know? Didn't his police unit know? They did know. Now, if you know anything about Thailand, and I'm not saying that this is what happened here, but this is, in some cases, how people get into service in the government or in the police force or whatever, how they go up in the ranks. Sometimes they know someone. Sometimes they pay their way in. The more you pay, the higher you go up. This guy was a lieutenant colonel. He was 34 years old. Now, I know someone. I've talked about this. I haven't contacted them in many years, but I knew 3 generals. One I really didn't know. Another one I got to know a little bit, and another one I really got to know. Now, I don't know how old he is now. He's probably 85 now. And he told me once, he said, it's not about how good you are or how right you are. It's about who you know. So, if you know the right people, you're connected, you can get in and you know, it's relatively simple. You pay enough money, you get in. Now, this is not always the case. But if you want to rise the ranks, apparently, I'm just saying this because this is what I hear. I don't know that it's true. The more you pay, the higher the rank, and the easier you go up. Now, so this is that in itself. If he got in and they knew that he was a drug user, let's say that they didn't. He didn't use drugs for a month, and then he went in and took the test. He passed it. Then he started using again, and they're not testing him, and he keeps it from them. I don't walk around looking at people going, is this a drug user? And a cop, I don't know because I've never been a cop, but I know a few. I wouldn't think that unless they have reason to suspect that one of their colleagues was on drugs, they wouldn't be looking at the person like, oh, he's a druggie, he's a druggie, he's a druggie. But eventually, people started to know. They knew. They knew this guy was into drugs. Anyway, I said there were red flags. That's one red flag. Another one was that apparently he was at a bank on orders from his supervisor. He was supposed to assist the bank manager or somebody else to to facilitate the movement of funds to an ATM or ATMs. He was supposed to help the manager. Instead of helping the manager, he went out and his car was parked in front of the bank. He went out and went to sleep in his car. The bank manager complained and said, come on, let's go. And he threatened to use his gun. Now he's reprimanded for this. I don't know why they didn't do more. How can you allow a policeman to flaunt his authority like that and not seriously reprimand him or fire him? So there's another one. And believe me, I'm leaving a couple out because I'm not certain of some of the details because I was reading the Thai in various publications, and I was reading some myself. I had my son help me with some, and my wife helped me so that I could get as many details as possible. But in July of 2021, he was being loud and obnoxious at his apartment. He was drinking. And the police were called. Someone called the police. They come to his residence, and they tried to warn him, hey, brother, come on, you got to keep it down, or there's going to be a problem. Please just stop. So what does he do? He begins to verbally assault the police. Probably something, I don't know, I'm just saying. I'm filling in the blanks. Something like, don't you know who I am? And then, I guess things got a little more heated, and he attacked them, physically attacked them. So he was suspended from the force. And then, I didn't write, where's the guy's name? I didn't have time to put this in here, but this guy, his name, according to sources in the Thai media, Sawanjai Malitong, he suspected that something was fishy, that the guy might be on something, so they made him take a drug test. Of course, he failed. So this was bad enough. He promised to a supervisor, the commander, I guess, of the station or the region. He promised, oh, I won't do it again. Please give me another chance. I have family, that kind of stuff. And so apparently they gave him another chance. But they wanted to see what he was up to. And this is a guy who bragged that he used to carry around 100 Yaba pills. I don't know why, if he was selling them or what he was doing. But he used to carry around 100 tablets at a time, and no one cared. I have a hard time believing that, but then anything is possible. So, these things are bad enough, but it turned out that several, and I think it was 4, but I'm not certain, maybe it was 3 or 4 officers were the ones supplying him with the drugs. So they were dismissed. They were eventually dismissed. So then detectives from the Nong Bua Lamphu station, detectives were called in, and they went undercover and tried to get something on him, and apparently they went to his house, they checked his house, they found 1 pill, which was enough to arrest him. That brings us up to yesterday, where he had gone to court and found out that he was guilty and that he would have to come back the following day for his sentence. So he went straight over to the school after that, which was not a long time after. It was, I think it was several minutes. So, the first question is, they need to find out how this happened. Because there's no excuse for this kind of thing. Crazy or not, if you use Yaba and you're using it regularly, it fries your brain. There are numerous videos online of these drug users going nuts and needing to be shot, tased, whatever, and even that doesn't always do the trick. Yes, Gennaro, it was indeed, it's indeed very sad and horrible, and but the literal translation of Yaba is crazy drug. Why would they call it crazy drug? Because it makes you smart? Because it's good for you? No, it's not a freaking vitamin. Now, I've been around a couple people who were using, and several people, 4 or 5. And 3 or 4 were using it regularly and they stopped. One person was using it regularly and he didn't stop. And this guy was a real piece of shit. Because he would do anything to get those little tablets. And I've smelled them. They have like a bubblegum smell. I don't know, some of them might have another smell, but the ones that I smelled like bubblegum, and they were smoking the shit. They just put it on tinfoil. They put the tablet on tinfoil and smoke it out. So, how could no one on the force know this guy was such a liability? That's the other thing. And you know, we hear, oh, the little kids, and yeah, it's bad, okay. But one family, a grandmother lost 6 of her children, grandchildren. 6 people. Her world is turned upside down now. All because of this piece of shit. Which is what he is. You know, drug, it's a disease. No. When you get to this point, you're a piece of shit. Because he had opportunities to be helped. There's something called the, what is it? The white something project. What was it called? White Police Project. And basically it's to assure the community that the police are 100% clean and not corrupt. So, what happened? It just would just slip through the cracks. You know, I kind of doubt it. I kind of think that everybody knew. And what's funny is that, ironic again, or whatever the word might be, is that this guy used to go into the school and he was polite to the people, but they knew he was on drugs. They knew he was a drug user. The teachers knew. So if the teachers knew, the police that he worked with had to know. It's inexcusable. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. You know, I mean, I'm at a loss for words about this. This is, honestly, it came on about the worst day that it can come on in Thailand. If you know anything about Thai history, yesterday was the 46th anniversary of the Thammasat University massacre. Well, drugs, yes, using drugs is a choice. Choosing to pick up and use is a choice. However, once you're addicted, it's no longer a choice, it's a need. And that's where, you know, it's not like there are no campaigns in Thailand about drug use or anything. Yaba is a huge problem here. It's a massive, massive problem. And I was told by a senior police officer who I knew him quite well. And he used to be in charge of the Golden Triangle. He told me, hey, we do not take anything personal with these major drug dealers. We know it's big money. It supports communities. It helps families. But it also kills people. So they would negotiate. This is how it works. They would negotiate. Hey, we know you got such and such coming through. We're going to let that go through, but we need to make a couple of arrests. Because they knew they couldn't stop it all. And the guy that I was talking to today, who was a former policeman, who said to me, I hate police. I hate the system. I'm happier being a taxi driver. I have a transport company where he uses he has a taxi, and he has a van, and this is what he does. He's 55 years old. I said, how much longer are you going to do this? 5 years. But you're happier. You didn't enjoy being a cop. He said, I didn't enjoy the whole system. And if you've ever been a cop, I'm sure you know exactly what he's talking about. And it's pretty much a thankless job. And for Thai cops, they make a pittance, which is why they have corruption, and you know why when you get stopped, and this has not happened to me in many years, but it did happen to me once up in Udon Thani, of all places, where I was on a motorcycle without a helmet, and one time I got pulled over and they just took 500 baht. One time I got pulled over and I had to go to the station. They said, no, you can't pay. I was like, what, really? So that's kind of what's happening right now. And my question, I don't think a whole lot of good can come out of this, because when you're talking about young people, young children being murdered, you're talking about wiping out generations, wiping out many lives, hurting people in a way that is pretty much unimaginable. Now, one thing that came out of the media that I don't believe a lot of people have heard is that this guy, when he found out, oh, there's no way out, I can't get out of this, I'm gonna go to jail, I'm gonna have problems. In fact, my wife was saying it, I'm like, what? What are you saying? Leung Tu, which is Uncle Tu. Uncle Tu is Prayu. This guy I don't know if he got in touch with him and he got rebuked. I don't know exactly what happened, but he wanted help from Uncle Tu, from Prayu, Prime Minister. He wanted help to get out of it. And there was no response. Or he was told, no, I don't know. That wasn't clear. My wife didn't make that clear to me. But he was angry with the Prime Minister. This is a report that's coming out of one of the Thai news stations. He was angry with the Prime Minister and found out that he had some relations with kids that were at this place in Nong Bua Lamphu. And so that's why he went after the kids. Now, I don't know how much of this is true. You know, the longer it goes on, hopefully more facts will come out, and what really happened will not be diluted and become this mishmash of facts and fiction. So what I keep thinking though is, okay, you're never going to bring them back. Which what was it that I wrote here? Yon Vela, turn back time. You can never turn back time. Yon Vela. You're never going to turn it back. You're never going to get those kids back. The families are never going to be the same. And that's how it works. Right? You know, when it happens in the U.S., I'll be honest, I'm never very shocked. And maybe I should be. But happening here, it's really shocking, you know, and it could happen to you. And that's the whole reason why you have to care. It can happen to you, it can happen to your friends, it can happen to your family. Anything like this could happen. So what are they going to do about it? You know, what are they going to do? Start checking people as they come in? If somebody really wants before they get checked, they'll just walk in with with their gun out, like this guy did. He had a meat cleaver, a pistol, and a shotgun. Now, how the hell did he get in there with all that stuff? And nobody had a chance to stop him. I don't know. But, you're talking about a bunch of... many of the teachers are older ladies. I do believe that a lot of the cops are drug tested. I don't know if all of them are. I don't know, what's the constitutionality of all that. Maybe harsher penalties for police who break the laws, as in using drugs or something like that. I don't know. But they're talking about revising the gun laws. Now, what was interesting to me is that Thailand does not have mass shootings, like I said. But they do have a hell of a lot of guns. And there is a fair amount of gun violence. And I gotta say, and I've told this story before, when I was working in boxing, I was over by the gym, and I used to take the taxi. Man, there's so much chocolate in this. I used to take the taxi to and from. It cost me a fair bit of money because there was construction going on. I never knew, is it going to be one of those days where I'm there in an hour and 15 minutes? Am I going to be there in 2 hours? Anyway, one day I pull out of the taxi driver and I, we pull out of the long driveway where the gym was. And immediately, once he gets into the lane to drive off, the traffic just stops. There was a four-way stop up ahead, and sometimes it got congested. So I'm sitting there. By the time I got into the taxi to go home, I was usually tired. So I'm sitting there, I'm kind of nodding off, and all of a sudden I hear this loud noise, and it was a motorcycle that came screaming by. And I mean, it's going between cars. I don't know, 80, 100 kilometers an hour. And this is like a 4-lane road. And it wasn't one of those big 4-lane roads. It was a tight 4 lanes. So there wasn't much room. This guy could have easily crashed. Anyway, he's hauling ass, and I thought, whoa, what was that? And I'm looking, and I go, son of a... And all of a sudden, another motorbike goes by. The guy had a gun out, and he's shooting at this guy. And I hear the pop, pop, pop. I was like, holy shit. And I won't forget that. They could have very easily crashed, both been killed, okay, whatever. Or they could have the one guy could have very easily shot a bunch of innocent bystanders that are standing around in their shop house or walking along on the road, walking around the sidewalk. So, yeah, and as far as internal affairs go, I'm sure they have one. They have some kind of investigative team. And I don't know. I don't know how much trust. I don't know if you can really count on the Thai police in situations like this to be really trustworthy. Now, you might be able to. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. From what I hear, what I've seen, what I know, what I don't know, I would hope that they would do the right thing and bring everything out and get rid of all the bad apples. I think that they thought they had done that because there's something called a consul in Thai, and I didn't really get the exact translation. It was coming from Alex. he sat there with me and helped me out with some of these things. But this person, once they suspended this guy and they let go of the other policemen who were dealing, apparently he felt relieved that he had gotten rid of all the bad apples. Well, I guess he didn't, So, there you go. I don't know if anything new has come out in the last few minutes, but now, something that I find really sickening is that it says here that one witness told Reuters that the female teacher believed the attacker was coming to pick up his child. When he arrived at the center, he didn't say anything and shot at the door while the children were sleeping. Most of the deaths were the result of stabbing wounds. And another teacher told Reuters that the attacker had mainly used his knife, his meat cleaver. These poor little kids were asleep and he used a meat cleaver. And it said, and she also said it all went down really fast. He was slashing with the knife. He didn't use the gun. He kept slashing in there. It was all by knife. Then he got out and started killing anyone he met along the way with a gun or knife until he got home. We surrounded the house and found that he committed suicide in his home. Which, you think about that, his poor wife and kid. I mean, his wife probably knows, hey, my husband's a nutcase. He's a druggie. He's in a bad way. She probably knows. But she probably doesn't think, oh, this guy's going to lose it and kill me and my son. And for him to go home and, the best thing that would have happened was before he killed the kids, he killed himself. It's like, this is so bad that it's numbing. It's unfathomable, incomprehensible. It's just so hard to grasp that someone can do this. That's my thoughts on it. So, well, I've heard this. Oh, it's a copycat thing. I think it's a cry out for attention. It's a cry out that even the taxi driver said the same thing. He said it's because he wants to be somebody. He wants to always be remembered. And, that's a nice thought. Oh, I want to be remembered forever. The truth is, most people are not remembered forever. If they're remembered for 50 years, they're lucky. Now, some people, even look at George Washington. I guarantee you, if you go in the United States and walk around and ask who George Washington is, there's going to be a lot of 50% at least of the people are going to go, well, I don't know. They can barely tell you where California is. How are they going to know who George Washington is? Oh, he's our president? I mean, it's that bad. And I really hope that this is not a copycat thing and this starts happening more often here, because that would be horrible. I already told Alex, I said, Alex, one thing you got to remember is, sometimes when you go out, you cannot let your guard down. You really can't. And, I was like, it's really sad to say that, but it's the truth. You got to be aware, And that's not easy. And you don't always want to live that way. Who wants to live that way? Where you're always looking over your shoulder going, what's going to happen? Sawadee Krap. Pomajak Thai. Oh, Sawadee Krap. Sorry, Cup, for what happened. So many red flags, heads should roll, but unlikely it will happen. No, and when I gotta put my, where's my glasses? What does this say? See a jai. T good. Chun. Yeah. Well, I think many people are, and I'm very, I'm really, I am. Come see a jai do it. This is worse than a horror movie, really. First of all, because it's real, and second of all, because even horror movies, they don't do these kind of things. Rarely. If someone in a horror movie murders someone, it's usually not a young child. And if they do, it's usually one. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse, so to speak. I really do believe that they should make October 6th a day of remembrance. They blocked off the fields where the people were massacred at Thammasat University. They blocked it off yesterday. They don't want to remember it. Now, I understand it's an incident that you would rather not remember. But you know what? What about all the people that died? And okay, you don't want to remember that? That's bad enough. But to not remember what happened to these children is, they really need to do something. Make it a national holiday, or, they already got enough national holidays here, but do something. Just make it a day of remembrance or something, where everyone wears that ribbon or something. Do something. And I didn't know what to do when I put up the thumbnail, because what gives it justice? It's just, I guess the best word that I can use, the best adjective that I can use is disgusting. It's really disgusting what this person did. So, like I said, there's not a whole lot more I can say about this. The only thing that we could hope for is that this kind of thing doesn't happen again, and they figure out a way to prevent it, and quite honestly, I don't think there's any way. I just don't. You're not going to get 10.3 million Thai people to give all their guns back. It's not going to happen. So what are they going to do? They're going to start monitoring people going into the schools. Have you ever seen a Thai, elementary school, or much less a preschool? Nobody. I can tell you that when I used to go to my kids' high school and junior high school, at first they would ask to see your ID, or they would take your ID. Then they kind of stopped doing that. Now, that may have been because they recognized me, I don't know. But when we were taking the kids to preschool, there was none of that. You drop the kids off, they go in, bye mommy, bye daddy. They're so happy. That's what I remember. They're so happy going there, and even the bad kids were, pretty innocent little kids. When they're that old, they're just not that, even the nastiest little kid is pretty good. So what are you going to do? You're going to stop people from going into preschools? Every person that goes in, you're going to be like, we got to check you. We're going to check you for weapons. And you know, the thing is if somebody's got a weapon, they just use it on you so that hey, you don't need to ask me anything. That's what they do. So what's the answer? That's my question. I don't know what it is, but that's my question of you. You want to talk about something? Let's talk about how we could stop this in the future. You know, I don't even know what to say. Anyway, let's hope that something comes out of this, something positive comes out of this. I find that really difficult to believe that it will happen, but anyway, I will say that my chocolate tastes good. You know, how do you go on? How do you go on after something like this, thinking, how could you possibly think the world is a sweet, lovable, what is it? Rainbows and what did he say? Where's my little notes? Yeah, sunshine and rainbows. How could you ever think this? How could you not tell your kids, hey, you might think everybody is trustworthy and you can go anywhere and you're going to be okay. You know, and I mean, I've been in some bad neighborhoods in my life, but I never really lived in a terrible, well, I lived in one. In California, I lived in Pomona, which was not a nice neighborhood. It was a pretty bad neighborhood. But other than that, I never lived in a place that you had to worry all the time. But this was not a bad place. This was a very quiet, peaceful, mellow kind of place. This was a relatively quiet area and very peaceful. So, yeah, I don't know, Tom. That's the thing. What is that? What is beefing up security gonna do? I mean, honestly, the guy came in with a shotgun, a pistol, and a meat cleaver. When he sees security, he just blows their head off. I mean, you know, you gotta think like one of them. You're gonna have one guy in the back, and you know, then you think about this. Mostly, what do the security guards look like most of the time? Okay, there are a few security guards in certain places that might be like former Muay Thai fighters, and they might be able to, you know, throw blows. You know, they might be able to fight a bit. But they're not gonna fight against a shotgun. They're not gonna fight against a pistol. I mean, yeah, maybe one of them will get lucky or something, but for the most part, it's not gonna do a bit of good. So what, you know, and then you have a lot of the places. I mean, I go into the mall sometimes, you got old women, you got old men who are, they're barely able to move around. So what is that gonna happen? You know, yeah, Andy, also, there's, I forget the market, I think it was, not Central, was it Central Market? I think it was Central Market. I got a photo of a security guard, and he was an older guy, but it, you know, doesn't matter if you're, say, 50, 60 years old, you can pull a trigger, but he had a machine gun in his lap. And I'm like, holy shit, man, he's not messing around. But, you know, then you run into the risk of some guy goes in and robs a place, tries to get all the gold, and he starts spraying the place with bullets, and then he kills innocent bystanders. So, I think, honestly, the only real solution is to stop what caused this And that's really not very easy either. You stop the cause of this, which maybe is hiring somebody who shouldn't have been hired. I don't know if he went through any psychological exam. I'd like to see if he did. I'd like to hear if he did. Not just to hire somebody because they paid money or they know somebody. Not hiring people who are Yaba users. Man, that's some bad shit, man. If you look in America and you look at all the speed freaks, they're covered in sores. They lose their teeth. Now this is different. But it is along the same line. It's a methamphetamine, and in the long term, it will ruin your brain. It absolutely destroys your brain. This is not marijuana where I get a little stoned, maybe it killed a few brain cells. No, this causes you to act irrationally, to not understand reality from what is not real. So that's the problem here, is that in America everybody says, oh, do away with the guns. Well, I got news for you. If it ain't going to be guns, they'll use something else. It's not about the guns. Listen, if we could all get along in the world, people wouldn't need guns. But that's not going to happen because there's assholes out there. There are evil people. There are people who are power hungry. There are people who want to control what is done. So get rid of the guns in America. Okay, then what? Well, then they start using meat cleavers. They start making their own guns. Whatever it might be. I think and it's easier said than done, but you really need to stop the cause of the problem. And with this guy, he's been using drugs since he was in high school. And I didn't find out. It could have been he was in 8th grade, 9th grade. I don't know. But you think about it. If you've been using speed for 5 to 10 years straight, you are screwed up. Well, I'm sure that they did screen him. I'd like to see something here. Now you see, I looked up everything that is related to drug testing. When I type in, are Thai police drug screened prior to employment? The entire first page is about foreigners being tested. Now let's see here. I see something here. Rugby school, Thailand. Sorry. Let's see here. Our children have the right to protection regardless of age, gender, race, culture, sexual orientation, or disability. Members of the staff in the school have a legal and moral obligation to safeguard and promote the welfare of the pupils. Blah, 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 blah. Where's the drug? Okay, Rugby School Thailand recognizes that drug use is a societal problem. We are committed to making our school drug-free and to educate our pupils about the dangers posed by drug use. We have an obligation to the health and welfare of our pupils, and the policy outlines the rationale and processes by which we endeavor to keep our community drug-free. right, so now it's talking about drugs, what kind of drugs, how they classify. Drug education, but I don't see anything about the testing of their employees. Okay, it is the school policy that while on school campus or engaged in any school-related activities, students are forbidden from drug paraphernalia. Basically, they're not even allowed to use tobacco. And if they are found to be in possession of the drugs, they get expelled. But it's talking about students, it's not talking about the teachers. It says here, this is a British Thai school. Rugby School Thailand operates random drug testing of students from years 11 to year 13. At time of the testing, 2 members of staff will accompany the selected students to the health center. Let's see. It's all about the students. I don't see anything about the staff. I don't know if this is throughout the kingdom, but I know a local program where all students were randomly tested. If a student failed, well, yeah, that is kind of how it works. Although, like, my kid's never been drug tested, neither of them, ever. You would think that maybe throughout their entire time in Thailand, which, you know, they started school when they were 3-4 years old. One of them's 21, the other one's 19, so that's a long time. And not one of them has been randomly tested. So, gotta get that chocolate, get as much as I can. All gone. That is the most decadent drink. If you come here, you need to have the chocolate. It's a chocolate ganache, but I forget what the drink is called. They would be randomly tested afterwards. If they showed clean, they would complete the process. If they test positive the second time, they were turned over to the police. Yeah, but in this case, obviously, it's not the students. I mean, he was a student at one point, so yeah, I guess that, it does obviously mean something to test the students. But then you get into this whole constitutionality thing of like, well, listen, my kid's never been arrested. He's never done any drugs in his life. Why are you testing him? For this to safeguard our school. I think the Thais would be down for that, and I don't think they have a real problem with it. It's foreigners who generally have a problem with it. They have a problem when they're in a disco and they're visiting or they live here and they go in and they go partying. Yeah, well, Andy, from what I understand, it's 38, but it could be 37, it could be 36. What I heard was it was 24 kids and 12 adults, and then two more people died, and it was unclear of. I believe at least one of the two was a child. One more, 2 more is just 1 or 2 more too many. I keep hearing this, this kind of thing is rare in Thailand. Listen, 1 time is too many. One of these incidents is 1 too many, And I don't know why, at first I didn't understand it because, when I found out, it was only a few minutes after it had happened. And, I'm like, oh, wow, it's really bad. Then I started hearing all the stories about them being little kids and then the pregnant woman. And, man, I almost lost it. Really, I almost lost it. and really not that much affects me like that. But man, when it comes to little, innocent little kids, man, it's just it's terrible. People criticize Thais for being sheeple. They follow the government, and they do so very easily. But sometimes I think that, there is a bit of a love-hate relationship with the government. There is a, can I trust them? Should I trust them? What should I? But here, I think for the most part, they just think, hopefully they have our best interest at heart. And when you see something like, a whole school being tested or a whole class being tested, I don't know that that's a bad thing. And I can tell you that when I worked in boxing, someone was suspected of being under the influence of Yaba. And every single fighter at the gym was tested. And I don't remember how many it was, but it's 3 or 4 people. They were using. And man, they had to retest and retest and retest. And they were treated like shit for using, and you're part of a team and you're using, and you're basically a weak link. So yeah, okay, let's test all the students. Let's test the teachers. I don't know. I don't know why they couldn't do that, other than maybe the cost, the overall cost, because some of the schools are, they're not making a bundle of money, and the government tends to, Oh, what happened here? I didn't mean to do that. I don't know if you guys can see that last message. I didn't mean to. I don't know if I accidentally held it, but it says Thai police need a top to bottom clean out, biggest criminal gang in the country. Well, here's the thing. And I was told this by the guy who I was talking to earlier today, who was a former police officer for many years, like 35 years. 30 years. I think he said 30 years. That, yeah, okay, the laws are made by the government, but the Thai police are the ones who decide how to implement the laws, when to implement them. They have a lot of freedom. It's just like if you go to Thai immigration and one officer's like, nope, this is not going to do. Then you go, man. Okay, let me see what I can do. You come back and you go the next day, and the person you see is somebody different, and they don't want to see the paperwork that the guy from the day before told you they need. Things are different. So they give them that leeway. And I think they don't always use it in the best possible manner. I don't remember what it was. It was yesterday or day before yesterday. I was thinking of something, how you got to be very careful sometimes, because sometimes when you're dealing with police officers or just anybody, you have no idea of their educational level, of their tolerance, of just how much they value face. And, people nowadays, especially Westerners, they sneer at the phrase face. But you need to always remember it. about respect. And man, I gotta tell you, last night I was watching the Thai news, and this woman, who was the reporter, she was so delicate about how she handled talking to this woman. The woman was a teacher, and she was asking her questions. The teacher started crying. Then the reporter put her hand on her shoulder and kind of rubbed her shoulder or back, whatever. And then she just said, "Okay, thank you very much." Boom, moved on. Next, she had an interview. I guess before that, that was live. She had an interview before that with the teacher who was in the room with the kids who was killed, and they interviewed the husband, and he tried to hold it together. And I don't know how he did it. I mean, he did for about 30 seconds, then he just lost it. So anyway, it's sad as an understatement, and I know I won't forget it. I won't forget this. And you know, I've talked about this before, but when the guy went on the rampage up in Korat, I actually was called by someone, I don't know who it was, but it was a company that called me and said, "Listen, we'd like to know if you'll go on the air." And I said, "Yeah, okay." And you know, they were going to pay me. I said, "Okay." And it turned out to be Turkish TV, and I went on twice and talked about the area, talked about what happened. And I was like, man, this is really bad, you know. But, and you know, how can you forget that? Soldier goes nuts. But this yesterday was something that is beyond anything that I could imagine. You know? So, anyway, if you got any ideas what can be done, let me know, because I'm sure curious to know. Do me a favor and leave a thumbs up. Subscribe. By the way, I am contemplating and trying to go to Vietnam in about 2 weeks. I could sure use some people buying my shirts. That would help immensely. I want to sell about 25 shirts, 30 shirts in the next, say, 2 weeks. That's my goal. So I'd appreciate it. You can go down to, the link is down in the description, but I'm going to stick it in the chat. I don't know if this is going to completely go through. It's a redirect, so no, don't worry about it. Just go to AmericanInBangkok.com. Up on at the top, you'll see the word shop, and you can go and get a hat, a t-shirt, whatever. I'd really like to do this because, first of all, my wife will be there. Second of all, because I don't have to pay for the hotel. So that's good. It saves a bit of money. And I would go there for anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. So whatever you guys can do, however many shirts you want to get, let me know. Or just go to AmericanInBangkok.com. You'll find them. So that helps. But do please leave a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Do you know this happens a bit in Japan? Of all places, you would never think Japan. Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you. I'm not shut out. Wow. Thank you so much. Now, speaking of that, Andy. Let's see here. Where is the information here? Okay, mass shootings. Well, Japan is not one of the highest. Let's see here. How many are in this list right here? Norway is the number one mass shooter. It would be Ho Chi Minh, and then maybe around that area. Depends on how much time I have, what the wife is doing, and stuff like that. She's going to be working for the most part, but the good thing is that you know, I can stay with her at the hotel, and we can spend a little time together, which would be nice. And I can bring Vietnam to you guys. So, you know, that's what it's all about. Norway, the deaths per million people in mass shootings is 1.88. Serbia, 0.38 per million. France is 0.347. Then we got Albania, Slovakia, Switzerland, Finland, Belgium, Czech Republic. United States is 0.089 per million. Then you got Austria, Netherlands, Canada, Germany, Russia, Italy, United Kingdom. So, those are your top. Those are the places where things. Norway's world-leading annual rate was due to a single devastating. Oh, this is from 2000. What is it? 2009 to 2015. That's their report. So things might have changed by now. But in Japan, I think they do it they've done it in different manners. There was a slasher, there was a tear gas thing, or a gas thing. I forget what the gas was. But in Norway, where's it at here? This guy, I think he killed 69 people. If I can find it. Just saw it, now I don't see it. Where is it? Norway's death rate comes out more than 20 times higher than that of the U.S. But Norway's was in 2011. Hopefully that won't happen again and they'll drop off. Thailand's not on there. Japan's not on there. Anyway. Still trying to find this. I saw it and now I can't find it. The guy's name was Anders something or other. Yeah, I can't find it. I don't see it. My eyes are not working that well. Yeah, I don't know. It was It was called a massacre, though. So, yeah, I don't see it. I know I saw it. Now it was there. Now it disappeared. But yeah, it would be Ho Chi Minh. And you know, I haven't even started looking. You know, well, what am I going to do or anything? First, I need to, you know, figure out, can I go? Can I afford it? Now, there was another one. Where is it here? This is the Wall Street Journal. Oh, that one was forbidden. FEE. Okay. supposedly the story that the United States has the most mass shootings is a falsehood. And that actually, as I said earlier, the United States is farther down the line. It is number 11 and Norway's number 1. This is basically from the same report. You know, what really gets me is I don't check the news much, but yesterday I was checking the news, and boy, right up front page, top of every page was about Thailand. I go back today, and in some of the publications, you can't even find it. You have to go to the search tab to find out if they have any information about what happened, if there's any updates or anything like that. Eight of the 12 people that were injured were in serious condition. So I believe 2 more people passed away, and maybe those were 2 of the seriously injured people. Yeah, losing 6 grandchildren. There is nothing worse than this. That's the article. All right, well, listen. And, you know, like I said before, I came here this morning. I was the first person here this morning. I came here at like 5 after 7. And as soon as people started coming in, I see people they're laughing and joking, and you know, what do you expect them to do? So, you know, I guess that's all we can do, is we just got to keep marching on, and hopefully we can somehow prevent this kind of thing from happening again. And I say we, I mean the Thai government. You know, maybe in a rare case, a foreigner would be able to prevent something. But you know, my first thought is, oh, my kids are both in school, and I think about what would happen if somebody did something at their schools. That's one of the first things I thought about. So, you got to be safe. Be safe out there. Anyway, guys and girls, that about wraps it up. Hopefully you got a little something out of this. You got a little information out of this. Like I said, I mean, there's not much really. When it comes down to it, I'm just spitting out facts. I'm spitting out the facts. This place is quite busy now. From being completely empty. But I'm just spitting out the facts. The truth is that this is horrible, and there's nothing we can do to turn back time, which is something that makes it even worse. But we got to go on, and you know, life goes on for us. So, anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. And I guess I'll just see you when I see you. From Sarni's over here, Soy Tonson. Yeah, Jim, take it easy. near Nana. I had planned to walk over to Nana, but you know what? I just don't. My heart's not in it. I don't need to go over there. I don't really care to go over there. Yeah, I'm not in the mood to be like, oh, look, it's Nana Plaza. So, guys and gals, I shall talk to you later. Choke D, Jerk and Mine. Be safe out there and all that good stuff.